The images of Andrzej Bargiel of Poland skiing down a lonely, snowy Everest on the first complete descent without supplementary oxygen have made headlines around the world. However, until now, we know very little about the strategy and the work that made it possible. Here is Bargiel's detailed explanation of his ski descent of Everest, the future of high-altitude skiing amid climate change, and the legacy of those who skied Everest before him. The strategy: Bargiel and his support team left base camp at 4:30 a.m. on September 19th and reached the summit 2 days later, after a final push that took the big team 16 hours from Camp 4. Bargiel admitted to Explorer's Web that he would have preferred a faster, lighter ascent, but the absence of other teams on the mountain, except for American runner Tyler Andrews' small group, forced a different strategy. The original plan was a fast push from base camp to Camp 2, then from Camp 2 to the South Col, and from the South Col straight to the summit. Unfortunately, there was a lot of snow as the monsoon lasted much longer than usual, and it was raining almost every day at BC. With the high temperatures, the glacier was melting, forming convective clouds that kept bringing more rain. In those conditions, it's simply impossible to attempt a speed ascent. Of course, I would have preferred to go directly from Camp 2 to the summit. That was the original idea, but it just wasn't possible this time. Sherpa support the expedition included several photographers and cameramen with handheld cameras and drones, plus a large Sherpa team between base camp and Camp 2, staff, porters and climbers. We started the summit push with 12 Sherpas. Unfortunately, after an incident, a snowslide, 2 of them couldn't continue, and 2 members of the film crew had to stop as well. In the end, 12 of us, including 1 cameraman, reached the south summit. We were fixing ropes as we climbed and opening the route. None of us had been higher before, so the route hadn't been prepared. Most of the team stayed at the south summit, and I went with Dawa Sherpa to the top, fixing the last section of the route. It would have been very hard to make this expedition happen without the help of 7 summit treks and the support team. We knew we would be alone in base camp, so we had to build our own team, people who could help prepare and secure the route. I always take safety seriously, and I knew we had to be self-sufficient, with a Plan B and Plan C ready. Bargiel noted that they had an elaborate team. Apart from my core team of 9 people, including myself, we had 4 camera operators, 1 of them stayed at base camp, and a director, which made it a large-scale project. It was both a sports and a film production. The ropes. It's quite amazing how special this season turned out to be. When people think of Everest, they usually picture long lines of climbers and crowds on the route. But we were completely alone. During the monsoon, a few meters of snow fall up high, covering everything. It changes the mountain completely. No human traces, no fixed ropes, no footprints. Everything was buried in fresh snow, and that made the place feel wild again. Bargiel's team fixed the ropes themselves, all the way to the summit. During spring, that laborious task is shared between the Icefall doctors, who open a route up to Camp 1, and a second team that fixes ropes from Camp 2 to the summit. We fixed ropes ourselves wherever we felt it was necessary for orientation and safety. I hardly used the ropes myself, as there was no real need. I climbed to the col with poles, following sections where small slides had already cleared the snow, which actually made the approach easier. But we wanted the route to be properly secured, so the team, including the Sherpa climbers and the 3 cameramen, could move safely and efficiently. It was also important that in case of cloud cover or low visibility, the fixed ropes on the section between the col and the summit would provide safety and orientation. A variation route. Tyler Andrews told us that the ski team climbed a different route from the bottom of the Lhotse face to Camp 4. They went far to the left and followed a steeper, shorter line. Bargiel and Andrews never had a chance to meet, as the American runner reached base camp when the ski expedition had almost ended. But Bargiel confirmed these details. From the start, we decided that the safest route would be the one to the left of the Geneva Spur Couloir. That line, just left of the Geneva Spur Ridge, looking up from below, leads directly to the South Col. We changed the route out of concerns about avalanches coming from the Lotse-Face couloir. We didn't set up Camp 3. The snow was lying on solid ice, and it was really hard to build a proper platform there. However, during my first acclimatization rotation, I bivouacked roughly at the height of Camp 3, an essential step in my acclimatization, and then removed the tent. The chosen climbing line went between the South Pillar, partly following the Polish route up to its base, and then straight up toward the South Col. It was a new variation for us, and a more interesting one from a skiing perspective: the avalanche. While the beautiful photos and videos tell a story of triumph, the expedition also had a close call when an avalanche hit several members. Here is Bargiel's account. We tried to reach the summit on September 14th. That night, around 20 centimeters of fresh snow fell. Unfortunately, part of the team started a bit too late, and a small snowslide broke loose somewhere halfway up the route to the South Col, just below the Geneva Spur. It hit the last 4 climbers on the slope. They were below the Bergschrund, right where the route breaks between Camp 2 and the wall. It was a real shock for them, but luckily nothing serious happened, no major injuries. Those 4 went back down to Camp 2. We were higher up, and after confirming over the radio that everyone was safe, we continued our climb. As mentioned above, the slide caught 2 Sherpas and 2 cameramen who couldn't continue. Both had summited Everest before, so from the outset, we'd hoped they could push as high as possible for the footage, Bargiel noted. The descent. And then, the descent. From the summit to base camp on skis, without rappelling. The summit ridge was very snowy and steep, with slabby sections requiring extreme care. The trickiest part was between the south summit and Hillary Step, where the snow was heavy. Further down, Bargiel skipped the avalanche-prone Lotse-Face, skiing the same, safer line he had used for the ascent. But after a few days, things settled down, the snowpack stabilized, and the avalanche risk basically disappeared. During the second summit push, the snow was firm all the way up to the Col, so I could basically climb to the pass just using my poles. Stop at Camp 2. Unlike a previous ski descent by Davo Karnikar, Bargiel stopped at Camp 2, not due to exhaustion, but for safety reasons. The icefall was too unstable in the afternoon. The stop at Camp 2 was planned for safety. After 8 a.m., the icefall became extremely dangerous with avalanches and collapsing terrain. To ski it safely, I had to go very early in the morning, which meant spending the night there. The entire concept was to avoid avalanche terrain and act only when conditions allow. Unlike the Alps, you can't accept any risk on Everest. You have to avoid it altogether. The icefall in the autumn. Autumn is the only time this ski descent is possible. The icefall gets covered with snow, but the ice underneath is soft and unstable, like sugar. The icefall doctors were hesitant to fix ropes, feeling it was too unsafe. Because of that, I got involved in fixing the ropes myself, which helped me find the ski line. By working on the route, I got a better sense of the terrain and could spot a possible line. It didn't follow the fixed rope line exactly, but it was a doable line that cut back under the huge serac hanging from Nuptse. From there, I skied all the way down to the last patches of snow and ice at base camp altitude. From that point, I had to walk to base camp, on glacial terrain but covered by loose rock and debris. For me, that was something really special. At first, I honestly didn't believe it would be possible to ski down the icefall, but every expedition teaches me that this glacier changes every season. It's never the same. Each time, you have to approach it with fresh eyes and build everything from scratch. Everest versus K2. Bargiel is the only person to have completed ski descents of the 2 highest peaks on Earth. He did both without bottled oxygen. We asked him to compare the experiences. Everest was definitely harder in terms of overall effort, just to get to the summit. Autumn makes everything more demanding. The monsoon lasted longer, there was a lot of snow, and the amount of work we had to do was truly massive. It was a real grind. K2 is 300 meters lower, and that makes a difference. there wasn't nearly as much snow there. Otherwise, the K2 route was more technical, and it also required establishing almost a new line. I didn't really follow the standard route, especially during the ski descent. That descent was really interesting. I connected a few different lines, which made it something unique. But it's hard to compare the two. On Everest, the main challenge is the physical effort. It's just a tough mountain to climb. The glacier is complicated, not vertical, but a real maze, and you need to find your way through it, picking a line that safely leads you all the way back to base camp. No pressure. This was Bargiel's third attempt to ski Everest, and he spared no expense to bring it off. We asked him about the pressure that such an investment and complicated logistics entail, and the consequences of failure. However, he denied feeling any pressure. For me, it's more about a dream, a personal test. I just want to see how far I can go, how much my body can take, whether I'm able to handle that kind of altitude, and still ski without oxygen. That was the whole idea, a challenge I set for myself. My motivation has never been about racing anyone or trying to make history. It's about passion, pushing my own limits and exploring how far it's possible to go. Climate change. Previously, Bargiel mentioned he wanted to ski down Everest as soon as possible, because climate change would soon make it impossible. He says this new attempt confirms his suspicions. The glacier has changed a lot since Davo Karnikar's descent, and it's definitely getting harder. The quality of the ice is worse every year. The glacier is shrinking, collapsing, breaking apart, and the conditions on Everest will just keep getting tougher each season for skiing. These changes are really visible. I first came to Everest in 2012, and I can see it with my own eyes. The difference is huge. The weather is more unstable, pressure changes fast, strong winds come suddenly, heavy snowfalls hit more often. We simply have less and less time to move safely in the mountains and to chase our dreams up there, adapting to rising temperatures. The increase in temperature was dramatic this year in the Karakoram, and fall expeditions there are also dealing with unusually unstable weather. For a skier, the changes in the weather patterns are especially important, says Bargiel. You have to pay more and more attention now, really understand the conditions and use every short window when the weather allows you to move. During this expedition, I also knew I didn't have much time. I had to act fast, because from my previous attempts, I knew that by the end of September, strong winds come in. Once they hit, it's over. The wind brings snow, and when snow falls with the wind, the avalanche danger goes up quickly. The weather changes fast. It's getting more and more unpredictable, and that makes everything harder. I'd still love to keep skiing in many unique places, on different special peaks. I love exploring, I love challenges, and I hope there are still a few interesting things ahead of me, that I'll be able to keep doing what I love. But for sure, climate change doesn't make it easier. The risks are growing, especially for local guides, Sherpas, and all the people who work on the mountain.